Welcome to another podcast. My name is Nathan Rigney, and if you're new to this channel, welcome and thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm going to be talking about Xero. I have been on a conference. Some of you might say it's a junket, a piss up, whatever you want to call it, but there has been education, there has been good times, and it's all about absorbing everything that Xero is doing so that I can be a better accountant, a better advisor for you guys. If we're not growing, you're not growing. If you've been living under a rock and you know what Xero is, let's just quickly go over what Xero is. Xero is in Australia and probably even New Zealand, and then working towards the world, the number one accounting platform software. The thing about Xero is that as being your source of truth when it comes to all your financial information, and it's an ability to do your accounting, but then also if you use Xero correctly, you can also use it to help grow your business. And that is one thing that Xero's big about. Now, Xero's been around for quite some time. I think it started back in 2006, and I've been using Xero since 2011, probably still maybe one of the earlier adopters. But yeah, I've been using it pretty much the whole time I've been in my accounting practice, which is about 11 and a half years. And we, as an accounting firm, we only use Xero. If anyone comes on board as a new client and they really like another accounting software, we just basically decline that work. And unless the client wants to move to Xero. The reason we do that is because when you use just one software, you become really quite efficient at it. But otherwise, if we were to use different softwares, we're not using it all the time. We could possibly make mistakes in what we're doing because we're rushing to stay under a budget and be cost effective. So that's why we decided that we just use Xero. But pretty much from day one, I've just been 100% Xero and always loved the ease of using Xero, and especially even for a lot of customers. Probably the worst part about actually recording a video here is all the sound. It's like the second ambulance that's just come past. Massive car accident. So let's talk about what is Xerocon. Xerocon is essentially every 2 years, Xero puts on this massive conference. When Xero does it, I reckon one of the core values must be fun, because 100% when I was there, I recorded just what the conference was like. So hopefully we're showing that right now, but it is basically a whole lot of fun, but then all about learning. But essentially Xerocon is a flagship event for a lot of accountants that are out there. And it's not so much about technical knowledge. It's more about software. It's about basically how you can use the Xero software, but then also a lot of the other app providers that are out there to really enhance the experience of the small business owner in their Xero file. So I think for a lot of people out there, they're probably using Xero very basically and just to really do their accounting. But depending on your business, there are apps in what we would call the Xero ecosystem that can connect into Xero. And effectively what Xerocon is, it's about seeing your community. It's about being back with all your accountant friends and bookkeepers. And we do actually speak to each other. We're not enemies or anything like that. So it's great to catch up with a lot of our colleagues. And then even a lot of the software providers, for example, like Angie from Ignition, like we've been using Ignition to manage all our engagements and payments and contracts with our clients. And you see her, we've known her for about 7 years. And we've been a big user of Ignition. It's a hug, it's a hi, how's business going? And it's all about supporting us to also then support you guys as clients. But the community is great in that we're going to Xerocon to learn, to understand what are the new advances and technology upgrades in Xero. And I got to say, like, I've been going to Xerocon now, it's about my 5th or 6th Xerocon. And what I found is along the way, the enhancements of what Xero's doing now and the ability to analyze businesses out there has come so far ahead. But really, essentially, Xerocon, it's big announcements about what Xero's doing with the software, and then also about seeing all the app providers to see, well, what's new in their own software that we're using for our clients, and then also seeing what new providers are out there to basically make the business of being an accountant, but also the business of you guys, understanding what apps are out there so that then we can go, hey, I think this would really work quite well in your business. So that's what Xerocon is all about. But yeah, I mean, it's inspiration. It's about staying ahead of the curve and connection, I think, really. So looking at like Xero, I'm really interested in a lot of the AI stuff. And that was pretty big in the Xerocon this time around. Particularly, there was another software for when we have our meetings that can record, connect into Zoom or Teams when you have an online meeting that will record all your meeting notes, but then have action items and stuff like that. And I mean, there's a lot of those AI sort of recording platforms out there that will summarize a meeting It'll create efficiencies, but it's really designed for accountants. So I'm really looking forward to testing that out. And even then looking at the software we're using like Ignition, they've got new things coming out as well that it's great to stay ahead of that curve. Xero's put out this new analytics software called Syft and learned about how that can help. And really it's about analyzing the information in Xero, which is what I do a lot of with Profit First, but it's probably that one step further of being able to take information from a business and then instead of being reactive. And what I mean by reactive, I mean accounting is recording what's already happened, right? So you're going to be only looking at the past, but now with the enhancements with Xero, and it's been around for a little bit, but now they've really kicked it up by buying this software called Syft. It's going to really pick up the game of not being reactive towards things that are happening in the business. So not going, oh, now it's happening, now we've got to react. But now you can take the past and then you can predict on what's going to happen in the future, which I think is massive for a lot of business owners. You want to be predicting where you're going. And if you're not, like, why wouldn't you be? And the way it's going with AI and the connection, we're going to be able to connect into Xero, our clients' files, and then basically say, hey, which clients are having big changes at the moment, so then we can react to what's happening and help our clients out. So really, a small business can really benefit from a lot of the things that we're seeing when the bookkeepers and accountants are going to Xerocon. What we're learning, we can take back into practice to better serve you guys as clients, as business owners as well. There was a session yesterday where the deputy director of the ATO was there. He was getting absolutely smashed by a whole lot of questions, and that was great as well. And there was some good sessions as well on business psychology, a lot of things about how you can learn better and also be a better advisor. And I always say with the Profit First stuff, it's about what's in your head, right? So there was a lot of that sort of stuff as well. And I really appreciate those type of sessions. I think the one thing I did learn was being a business owner, being an owner of an accounting practice. It's not like the initial days when I started my practice where I was in the grassroots of doing a lot of everything. Really now my role as an owner of an accounting practice is that I oversee and I manage and lead on, I guess, the macro, the bigger picture. And I think the one mistake that I made was I really should have brought all my staff along to Xero, because they're the guys who are in the programs. They're the ones who are seeing, I guess, maybe what's working, what's not working, and then the enhancements of whether it's an app, Xero, or whatever it might be, could look at. So I think that's my biggest mistake and probably my biggest regret is that I didn't bring my staff along. And I think the reason I didn't bring them along is probably just really, if you go back to my own mindset going, oh, it's going to be a lot of money, but it would be a lot of money for them to attend each one. There's airfares, there's accommodation, but it's all tax deductible. If they were here, what they could have taken away, what they could have learned would have been really valuable. And this is where I'm talking about mindset, right? If I had worked out and said, okay, the return on that, and even, I guess, the employee morale of being able to go to an event instead of just me ducking out of the office for a few days, I think would have been quite massive. Next time around, I'm going to get the staff more involved in actually attending these events. And I think it's really important on so many levels because we're all using the software in Xero and everything differently. So that's one thing I want to do in the future. The next thing as well is the networking and being able to have valuable conversations with other accountants and bookkeepers and talking about industry trends of what's going on. I think a lot of people think that accountants are not hanging out other accountants and that bookkeepers don't speak to accountants and vice versa. And that it definitely couldn't be the case. It's really important to sort of network and see your peers and see what's going on in their practice and what's going on in your practice, and then being able to share information, stories and experiences to then really help your own personal growth, but then also help someone else grow. Because together as an industry, if we all grow together, we can all serve better. And that's why I'm really excited that Xero had a lot of stuff on business psychology. There was a lot of stuff on mindset. And I think that's really important because where I think we need to go as an accounting industry or accounting, bookkeeping, is that we shouldn't be just stopping at just producing BASs or producing tax. I think that coaching aspect of understanding what ticks or what's going on in the mind of a business owner, and even like actually bookkeepers and accountants themselves, like what's holding them back. And I think as an industry, if we can really start making it the norm that, you know what, when a client comes in, it's just not about doing the accounting, the bookkeeping. It's also about having that information and then having the skill set to understand how the mind works and then look forward and using the right tools to then tie in business psychology, thinking about like mindset, and then tying in together the data from Xero to then get better results. to our clients. So that's pretty much Xerocon there. It was fantastic to come along and be part of it and be involved. And the key takeaways is really just how AI is now going to be working in our platforms and how we can best use that to help you guys as clients. Then the improvements on the software, and then just being able to catch up with everyone and see and learn different experiences from the other bookkeepers and accountants that I know. So that's a wrap up. It's all done. And back to Sydney next week to put a lot of this stuff into order and to help you guys become better at your businesses so you can succeed and have the life that you deserve and a business that serves you in the end. Thanks guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.